Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday morning. It is the Blitz. It is time to get those start sit questions answered for you right now so we can win another league. We'll see you in 30 seconds. Woo, that always gets me so gosh dang fired up. I love that intro every single time. How are we doing, everybody? It is another week. It's week 4. We are ready for some football. A lot of us are kind of watching some football right now. It looks like the Jags are. Let's settle this right now. When are the Jags just going to move to London? Like, that's their home. That's their true home. They can't win in Florida, but they can't lose in London. I swear to God.
You know
My man Jeff, what do you think? Answer that question for me,
please. It's about time because Jacksonville has probably the most fair weather fans I've ever seen in my entire life. It's almost pathetic seeing
Florida
the
in general.
games. It's packed like during the AFC championship game against the Patriots. Some years back when they're actually good, and then last week when they're still not even considered bad. The stands were half empty if you want to be, a glass half empty versus half full kind of guy. Anyways.
I kind of feel like it's the Detroit Lions all over again. Like, people tried to start getting excited about the Lions again like 5 fucking years ago. And it's taken up until like last year for them to legit become somewhat of a legit team. And I would say for sure now, this year, the Lions are legit. And I feel like we're all early on Jacksonville again. They've got up and coming. They've got a good future, but they are not there yet, man. I mean,
I think that future belongs in London, though. That's all I'm saying.
True. They are.
Let's just get this taken care of. Let's just get this deal done.
That is true.
We all know it's going to happen, so let's just get it over with.
We're going to Germany this year too, aren't they?
I believe so. Yeah. But it should be the London Jaguars. I mean, like, that even sounds cool, even though I don't even know if there's ever been a Jaguar in London outside of these.
I don't think there's one legit sports city in Florida, so I'm all for moving any professional team out of Florida.
Well, Tampa, I have to say, after living here for 4 years, people love their Tampa. It doesn't matter what their team is doing. They're standing behind them. So I can say, at least in that experience.
Do they sell out the hockey every night? For Tampa,
what's that?
Do the Lightning sell out all their home games?
Oh yeah, Lightning are awesome though.
They've been good for a long time.
They had 3 straight years of Stanley Cup Finals, man. I mean, that's insane right there.
All right,
and even last year they were a dominant force. So I mean, like Tampa does pretty well as far as that goes. And that brings me to my next thing down below. My man Joe, how we doing today? And why don't you go ahead and give us an injury update?
Yeah, man, I'm sitting here watching a little Toy Story animation football with my 3-year-old heading into the Blitz. But so injury-wise, it's amazing what can happen in 13 hours because some of the statuses have flip-flopped here. There's conflicting reports coming out on Deshaun Watson. Some people are already reporting that he isn't going to play. Last night it was reported he is going to play. Sounds like Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to end up getting the start home against Baltimore. That's too bad because that's a classic division matchup. You'd like to see those two teams go at it at full strength. One other surprise, too, it sounds like Derek Carr will play despite the shoulder injury for the Saints. And then we know Jimmy Garoppolo's out for the Raiders. What we didn't necessarily know until now is it looks like Aiden O'Connell is going to get the start for the Raiders at the Chargers. Running backs. Not much has changed. Eckler out. We already knew that. Miles Sanders teetering towards a game time decision, but now it's looking like as of 4 a.m., Ian Rappaport reports that he's expected to play. That's about it for running backs. Wideouts. Wideouts have been relatively healthy so far this year. We know Mike Williams is out for the Chargers. We talked about Josh Palmer last night. Hollywood Brown looking like a game time decision. Sounds like he will play. We know Rashad Bateman's out for Baltimore, as is Odell Beckham. So Zay Flowers will be the number 1 there again. And that's pretty much it. A relatively healthy week going in.
Is there a difference between an in Rashad Bateman and an out Rashad Bateman at the end of the day this year? I mean, I don't even know if he's even actually hit the field. I just know he is, man, talk about a guy that nobody ever talks about anymore. And that's a shame because I really liked Rashad Bateman coming out of college. I thought he was going to be a pretty dominant force in the NFL, but injuries and otherwise have just prevented him from even seeing the
even real quick, Mikey, even Zay Flowers, and I wonder if we'll get a lot of Zay Flower questions today because he's the number one, obviously, but he was the number one last week and he had like 10 targets, but I think he finished like 5 for 50 and that's it. So it's like, I don't even know. And I'm super pumped about Zay Flowers but I don't know. I don't know. Like that passing game is looking rather anemic right now.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's not good for sure. Oh, wow. I thought that was another pick by the Jags. I'm like, man, these guys are just intercepting the ball left and right. We got our man Trans-Siberian checking it out.
Well. He wasn't poor. What did Atwell do last week? Like 4 for 60 or something like that?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, either. I don't think you can. I don't know if you can give us the win or the loss on that one.
Right. Like it depends. Well, it's standard, so it's not PPR. So I think that might be the L as far as it goes. He says, hey, boys, don't worry. I won't bring up Atwell. I know you're wondering about my starting lineup. Hurts, Pollard, he did have a TD, it says. Hurts, Pollard, Kamara, Dell, Atwell, Freiermuth, Moody, 49ers in flex standard. Jay Myers, Ford, or Sanders? Joe.
Well, I'll tell you something right now, and not to go right back to this but I think you got to yank Atwell. I mean, I don't want any of those 3 guys on my bench. If Sanders is a full go, he was questionable. Sounds like he's going to play. But, I mean, the Colts gouged the Ravens rushing defense last week, so no reason to think Ford won't have another decent game. We talked a lot about Jacoby Myers last night, and he had a great week 1, missed week 2, came back, had a great week 3. And now they don't have a quarterback necessarily this week, so maybe you stay a little safe with Myers, but man, I'll tell you, Ford and Sanders, I'd rather have. Can he take Atwell out there? No, he needs, because that's only 2 wideouts. But
if Moody's the flex, I'd say switching with one of those. Certainly,
he's the kicker.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking. Never mind. I'm thinking,
or no? Am I wrong?
You're right. I'm thinking Mooney, Bears receiver. Moody, same crap. Anyways, yeah. I'm sorry. So
it's funny. I knew that's what you were thinking right there. I knew it was Moody that you were thinking of right there. For me, I think I'm going to be playing Ford here in the flex. It's not even really all that close. I do wish I could get Sanders in there. I don't know. I might actually play Sanders over Kamara because of what we haven't seen out of Kamara this season. The guy usually that we always talk about how he has these big week 1s all the time. He has all these big week 1s. Well, it's been about 3 years since we've seen his last big week 1, and he's been 3 weeks removed from anything team facility wise. Now we did see him in the preseason. He looked pretty good, and Derek Carr is playing. So those are 2 positives for Kamara, but I still think I might play Sanders in that matchup flex Ford right here. And I think I'm going to be happy with Atwell over Myers in this instance, just because the quarterback situation over there kind of scares me a little bit. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, I was going to say, I find it interesting that when we're bringing this up, he obviously did not take Joe's advice. Joe brought this up last week, and the idea of packaging Kamara for maybe a high-end wide receiver or something like that. So obviously Trans-Siberian didn't take Joe's advice as far as that's concerned, which we all thought, or some of us thought, was a pretty good idea. But Kamara does have a decent upside to him. It is really rolling the dice because I expect some decent stuff out of Ford and Sanders this week. It's just such an X factor with Kamara. We know what he can do. Just will he? That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's a high
do it week
that's
1.
A very high ceiling play. What were you going to say? Sorry, Joe. I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
I
off.
just had, and will he do it his first shot at it this year, or will it take some time? How many touches are they really going to give him? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't start a backup over Kamara, but when you're talking Ford and Sanders but then Minnesota might put 3 touchdowns up on Carolina in the first quarter, and then Sanders doesn't rush the ball either. I really think Ford, I think you got to play Ford.
I think Ford's a smash play. Yeah, no, I think he's in there no matter what we're doing here, either in the flex. I could see playing Kamara over Sanders, but again, I think if I want to play the low risk play, I'm going to play Sanders over Kamara there. April, this is my 9-month pregnant girlfriend right here saying AJ Dillon. And it's because I drafted with her, and she got AJ Dillon on both of her teams this season, and she is not a happy camper with me right now because she has too many shares of AJ Dillon, which is 2.
I'm sorry. Has she never listened to me? Has she never once listened to me? I'll say it again. AJ Dillon sucks.
I'll tell you what, too,
sucks. He sucks.
Because they were on in prime time this past week. Actually, I think not 2 weeks in a row, but this past, and he had a couple of red zone carries. And like you talk about guys who passed the eye test, like a Bijan Robinson or a Deebo Samuel or a DK Metcalf. This guy's the opposite. He got the ball at the 3-yard line, and the play was over before it began. It was like the guy who runs into the Royal Rumble. As soon as he gets into the ring, he gets thrown out. Like he was literally in for 4 seconds. That's AJ Dillon when he gets a ball carry. He's like the Red Rooster getting eliminated from the Royal Rumble.
You know, it's crazy because his usage and everything like that would make me lean to at least he'll be somewhat of a relevant, productive back, but he just has not been that this year. And it's not like it's Aaron Jones is getting the bulk of the work over there because they're both getting decent looks. It's just they're not doing anything with it.
Sucks.
He sucks. Trans-Siberian says he's afraid of the groin with Sanders. What? Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. That better not be Mountain Dew, Mike. Is that also illegal over there in the Ukraine? I was saying to these guys, I didn't want to drink Dr. Pepper because it makes you sad. So we went with Mountain Dew. So you got to let us know what the beverage situation over there is in the Ukraine as far as it goes, man. Because if I can understand why there'd be wars and stuff like that if they took away your guys' Mountain Dew. We got at JGus 1967. He says half PPR. We got Jacoby Myers or Cortland Sutton. Thanks, Jeff. What do you got here?
I tell you, I like. Man, this is a good question here, but I like Sutton in this instance just because, well, you already brought it up. The quarterback situation on the Raiders certainly is an X factor there. And then you got Sutton coming off. I think he had a pretty decent game there, pretty nice game.
He's been good all year, Sutton.
Yeah, and he has. And they're going up against the lowly Chicago defense, who everybody seems to score on. Not that everybody can't score on Denver, but that's the other side of that coin there. So I'm leaning Sutton over Myers.
Agreed.
Yeah, you give me a better. You can't give me a better quarterback situation than what Cortland Sutton is seeing by comparison to what Jacoby Myers has a possibility of seeing today. I like Josh Jacobs. I like the tight ends. Anytime I see a new quarterback in the situation, those are the guys I play. Jacoby Myers should get to see a decent markup with the situation that they've got there, but we don't have any faith or any evidence that he's going to be featured in that offense with the new quarterback.
Mike, let me sneak in. Mike, can I sneak in real quick? So Deshaun Watson has officially been deemed out. I don't know who you got in your back pocket to get that info about 30 minutes before the rest of the world, but I want in on that relationship. And then the other thing real quick. So with Deshaun Watson out, and I'm sure we're going to start to get some questions on this too. How do we feel about Amari Cooper? And I'm going to selfishly throw one in right now real quick. Would you bench Cooper for Lockett knowing that now there's no Deshaun Watson?
Absolutely. And I also have a rule that I call the Amari Cooper rule. Mm-hmm. Did he go off last week?
He had a good game last week.
Don't play him again this week.
I know.
And he went off last week. Avoid it. Avoid it like the plague.
Or would you play Sutton? Lockett or Sutton?
I think I'll probably play Sutton here against that Bears defense. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, we all know, and I've said it many times, Lockett, he's my boy, but in this instance, I like Sutton better matchup-wise, and so I think he'll have a better week than my man Tyler Lockett.
Thank you.
This one's going to be a fun one right here. Then we got at GCart1230 says Nico Collins, Sutton, or Kelly at the flex. And just for a real quick thing, they're also not allowed Dew over there. I mean, like I said, man, no wonder there's conflict. You guys don't get any sugar, man. Like, get some sugar in these people.
And the country's run by an actor comedian. You'd think he'd get right on that.
Yes, that's all I'm saying. Like, Trans-Siberian, just come back to here. We'll get you fat on the stuff that you're not supposed to drink. What do you think here, Jeff? Who do you got? Nico, Sutton, or Kelly?
I'd say I like all these options this week, and we talked about Kelly a little bit, or Mike, you brought him up last night. He has underperformed a little bit, to say the least, but he's still the guy there for the Chargers. Our motto always is, or mine and Mike's is, the tie goes to the running back. However, I mean, this is really a close one. So I'm hesitantly leaning towards Kelly because of that factor. Although I do really like Collins and Sutton. Collins is coming off. I mean, he had a couple big weeks to start. He did fairly okay last week, not as big as he has before. I expect him to bounce back. You got him and Dell down in Houston that are putting up some good numbers. We just talked about Sutton, so I would say Kelly squeaking over Sutton. But all those three are good options.
What do you think there, Joe? And I'll go ahead and save my opinion for last there.
I think there's that whole fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So I need to see Kelly have a good day before I'm buying him DFS or in league wise or anything. And the other thing about that too is it would be one thing if it was Kelly against a couple of guys who have been really inconsistent. But if you take 6 games out of Collins and Sutton, I believe 5 of them have been good fantasy performances. To Jeff's point, Collins wasn't great last week, but I like Sutton here against the Bears. I think it's the best matchup, and he's been pretty good. No reason to think why he wouldn't be good again this week. And you could probably sell me on Nico Collins too. They're not running the ball much, and they're not running the ball much in the red zone either. Donald Parham's going for multiple touchdowns a week. Those are 1-yard touchdown passes every single time. I don't know, man. I need to see it. If any week for Kelly, it should be this week, a Raider team with no quarterback. So if any week he has a game script to be successful, it will be this week. So we shall see, but I'm going Sutton here.
And Joe, and then before you put in your picks there, Mike, sorry, Joe brought up the old adage, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice. And that makes me think of our good friend Mike Babchek, who's on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82 on Sirius XM from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Mike is not exactly the smartest human being in the world. Hopefully he's watching. Mikey, this one's for you. But he tried to say that statement back, this is probably about a year ago, and the way it came out, he goes, shame on me, shame on you, fool me too. Is that right? And then that's anyway, that just made me think of that one. Anyways, go ahead, Mike.
It's funny because I can't hear that without remembering when Bush didn't remember what to say, and he goes, never trick a tricker. Like, that'll always go down in history as one of the best damn things that I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Yeah, for me right here, I actually have to lean towards Jeff on this one. I think that Kelly is going to be your play against that soft Vegas team. I really think that they're going to get ahead of them pretty quick. I don't think that the Raiders are going to be in any kind of a position to stay ahead or keep up with this game. So I think they're going to be having to throw a lot. I think they're going to be seeing a lot of 3-and-outs. I think that you're just going to see Kelly more as a mercy thing against the Raiders than anything. I think that they're just going to maybe in the halfway through the third quarter, maybe even at the beginning of the fourth quarter, where they're just probably going to be solidly going to Kelly over and over. So I think the volume's going to be there for him, and anytime I see volume like that, that's the one I'm going to have to play. So I think we're rolling out Kelly here as far as it goes.
Trans-Siberian, mark that one down.
Oh, Trans-Siberian's watching us like a hawk. I'm telling you, man. Guys, that's why we love this guy.
It's like the IRS.
One of these days, I'll figure out a drink to drink on the show that he can enjoy with me. Like, I doubt they have Sam Adams Oktoberfest, but it ain't too early for me if you do. Trans-Siberian, so you just let me know. At Kevin Conlon 12 says Roshan Johnson versus Denver or Breece Hall versus Kansas City. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, Roshan Johnson's carved himself a bit of a role there. That's tough. I was looking at Breece Hall this week too. Like, what are the Jets going to do Sunday night? Does Simeon end up in that game? I don't know. I feel like here, this is tough. I guess the safer play is probably Johnson. Like, Johnson, the way I view this one is Johnson's probably got a higher percentage shot to get 10 points, but Breece Hall's got a better chance of getting 20, 25 because he could break a couple. So I think I'll play it safe and say Johnson here. It's a close though.
Gotcha. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like either one of those, but Joe almost made my argument for me is that the higher ceiling is Breece Hall. We've seen him be explosive before. I mean, you have to think that they're going to – I mean, the Jets are going to do something a little bit. I know that since Chris Jones has been back, KC's defense has really stepped it up, but I have to think that Breece Hall is going to get his chances. So I like him a little bit more than Johnson.
you just use the word explosive and Jets in the same sentence. And I think that's why I'm more leaning Roschon Johnson right here, just because I just actually was kind of catching up because I've got a TV over here that I've got going on at the time. And also, if anybody ever notices, there's not like a guy standing there with a gun making me do this show for you. We actually do this on our own for fun. But I was sitting there watching and I was catching some highlights of that Miami offense going against that whatever the hell that, I mean, it wasn't even a defense. It was like literal Toy Story out there for the Broncos. I've got to play Roschon Johnson. I've got to play every single running back I possibly can against that Denver defense until they somehow step it up. And I'm a Broncos fan, and you know what? I just don't see that happening. So for me, it's Roschon Johnson, and it's really not even that close because of the Jets. Good God, man, they just look horrendously bad with the quarterback situation they've got going on there, and they still haven't. They got Trevor Siemian as their backup. Like, good job, guys. So Zach Wilson and Trevor Siemian sitting there. It's ugly. We got Crass _ and then Morning Puka or DJ Moore half PPR. And do you think London or Kincaid got Laporta as droppable for stashing Spears or Jamison Williams? Jeff, I'm going to lean this one to you. Let's go ahead and take this two-parter one by one here.
So there's a lot to unpack there. I'll start with the first one. I mean, along with Lockett, everybody knows DJ Moore. That's my boy. Having said that, I very much like Puka. I mean, the DJ Moore matchup this week, and you just brought it up as far as the Denver defense is concerned, is an appealing one. I like Fields this week to go off on his legs, maybe a little bit in the air, but Puka's upside is higher than DJ Moore's. There's a little bit to unpack there on that second one. I'll let you guys get on that first one, and then we kind of look through that, and we'll go from there.
Well, I'll turn that to you there, Joe. What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like if DJ Moore is on your team, if you're not going to play him this week, when are you going to play him? I think I would probably actually go DJ Moore there. It's close, and Puka's gotten so many targets and everything. It's undeniable, but he slowed down a little bit last week. And I think DJ Moore had a decent game last week, and I'm gonna try that matchup home against Denver for Chicago and go DJ.
I like that, but I think I'm leaning Puka here just because of the target usage, his target volume has been off the charts. And I mean, so at a half PPR, I really think you're going to get like 7 to 8 points possibly just off his receptions alone. So I'm getting Puka out there. I believe in the situation where you have Laporta, as much as I hate to say it, because as much as I love him, but I love him more dynasty, I love him more long-term. I think I'm dropping Kincaid and stashing Jamison Williams because I feel like Jamison Williams is going to come. Man, Detroit is the real deal, and they're going to be very hard to cover with the way Reynolds is playing, with the way Amon-Ra is playing, the way that they're being able to utilize that backfield. Although they haven't really utilized Jahmyr Gibbs, man, David Montgomery's having himself a hell of a year. And so you have like this explosive rookie sitting there on your bench just waiting to get used. So, I mean, I think that's going to be the real deal once Jamison Williams hits that field. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be fun if you're a Detroit fan for sure. We got at Tommy Gawk. He says, tight end wasteland question. Everett or Logan Thomas? Couldn't trust in Yoku anymore. Half point PPR. Jeff, go ahead and lead us off with this one.
Yeah, geez. I mean, I certainly get the frustration there with, as Joe calls him, Nyoko. I believe it's David Njoku, but we'll go with Nyoko. Logan Thomas, man, disappointment there all day. I would have to lean towards, wasteland is a good term for that, but I'm leaning Everett just Logan Thomas. I can't trust anybody in that offense, so Everett I'm going with.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I would go Everett too, especially now with the Mike Williams injury. It's a little frustrating because Parnham's getting a lot of those red zone targets, but Everett still gets his share too, and I gotta assume it goes up a little bit from the Mike Williams injury too.
And I feel like I might even trust Njoku in this situation, unless let's say we dropped him, and then I think I'm going to go lean Everett here. But I do like Logan Thomas's matchup today. I feel like if this guy's ever going to be fantasy relevant, it would be today. But it's more of a gamble I'd like to make on, like, say, a daily slate as opposed to my like say my home league or anything like that. Any of my competitive leagues, I'm gonna have to fade that one. At Tommy Gawk, that's the same one we just had right there. Hold on just a second. There we go. We got at Dino Principal, Swift versus Washington or Flowers versus Cleveland. Joe, what do you know? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think you can sit Swift at this point. Like, I didn't play Swift. Was it week 1? No, week 1 he didn't do much. I didn't play Swift week 2 in like a couple of leagues because I had him a lot, and I was happy, obviously, where I played him. Pissed off at myself for not just playing him outright. Again, week 3, there's no reason to think he doesn't do pretty well against Washington. Gainwell came back last week. Swift was still the main event there, so I don't think that's as big as a worry. Zay Flowers was the number 1 last week in Baltimore, and I mean, he got the target share, but it wasn't that great of a game. That passing game's not doing a ton. Now with no Deshaun Watson, I feel like it just lines up to be even more of like a running slugfest between those two teams, real physical game. So, I mean, Flowers is the only guy there to get it other than Mark Andrews, but I'm a little discouraged by his week last week, and I think DeAndre Swift's just been too good to sit recently.
I actually kind of agree with that. I think Swift has been looking really, really good this year. Everything he's been doing is everything we expected out of him in Detroit. And it's kind of like, it's funny because we're seeing a repeat of the whole situation with Gibbs going through that, making a guy wonder exactly how good he can be in most situations, like if you gave him a better opportunity. But again, man, I mean, like, I understand what the Lions are doing. I actually don't hold them any ill will towards the way that they're playing football is winning football, and they're playing for the long haul. And I mean, that's something that you need to be doing. You don't want to explode off everything that you have, man. This is going to give them so many diverse options if they keep Jahmyr Gibbs kind of a secret from the rest of the NFL on how they plan to utilize him and what they're going to do with him. So all that being said, Swift versus Washington, you can't sit him. I do love Flowers a lot today, but just not as much as, again, I mean, we're talking sheer volume. Give me Swift all day long. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, we brought it up, or I brought it up maybe 15 minutes ago. The tie goes to the running back. I mean, the bottom line is, I don't get me wrong, I love Zay Flowers. I think he's great in that matchup, and because he is the number 1 over there. But he's kind of more of the 10 targets, 6 or 7 receptions for 80 yards, maybe in the end zone once. Whereas DeAndre Swift is going to have many more opportunities, and especially with that, the Philadelphia running game has just been I mean, just fantastic to start the season, and I don't see that slowing down. So just because of the opportunity volume wise, you got to think Swift's going to have anywhere from 15 to 20 touches versus Flowers, like I said, having about 6 or 7 catches. So I'd say Swift for sure here.
I like it. Yep. No, that's 3 for Swift right there, which is, I think, a very solid play. I don't think I could be sitting that guy in any situation, man. I love DeAndre Swift. I'm glad I got him in most of the leagues that I got him in. At J Lollagam 77 says, if Miles is out, Hubbard over Kelly, most upside. He's the underdog, CD or Metcalf. Jeff, what do you think?
So Sanders is in though, so I guess that the first question is kind of moot, correct?
I feel like if Sanders is playing, I'm playing him.
Right. So I like I said, I think we can kind of just pass by that one. If we're looking at CD or DK, I'll go with the not that DK isn't a number 1, but I'll go with CD being the clear cut number 1. He hasn't gone off as we have seen him in the past, so I think he's kind of due. I mean, you got a lot of options over there in Seattle, between Lockett and Walker, etc. So I like CD's chances. Not that I dislike DK, but this week I'll go CD.
I like it. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I would go CD too by a little bit over Metcalf just because of the lack of other real weapons there in Dallas. And it sounds like Sanders is going to play. He's still technically questionable. This would be a close one if he didn't play, because Hubbard did have some good games as a starter last year, but and they both have really good matchups. But I think Mikey, you would say Kelly here, so I think I'll go Kelly too.
I think, yep, I'm thinking Kelly here, just with the question marks. Again, man, I think Kelly is a guy that can get the job done. We haven't seen him get the job done, but a lot of those have just been shootouts where you're having to get it done with your arm. And I don't think that that's going to be the case that they're facing this week. I think this is going to be a game that they're going to want to pace on the ground quite a bit. They're going to want to try to drag out plays, drag out drives, just like I said, almost so they don't blow them out like, say, Miami style versus Denver or anything like that. But who knows? That would be kind of cool if they decided to boat race them, because I hate the Raiders. So that would be okay by me. We got Ennis the Menace one says Superflex spot in a guillotine league. Tannehill, Ritter, or Zach Ertz? Joe, what do you think?
Well, Ritter's already playing. I hope you didn't start him. He's having a dreadful day, right? Put that back up there. What was Tannehill or Zach Ertz? Mikey, what's guillotine mean?
Guillotine means that if you lose, you get you lose a player.
You lose a player. It's like the vampire thing or whatever that was last year. And all right.
It could also be that the lowest. I mean, guillotine league has did for so many different things for me. I've also seen it where the worst player is out, and then you get draft and all their whole team goes to waivers.
I mean, if tight end points aren't inflated, I guess I'd go. Tannenhill's been really bad lately, and they don't have Burks either this week. But I mean, Ertz against the 49ers, I guess I would go Tannenhill. I'll take Tannenhill here. I don't love it, but
yeah, I don't like it either. What do you think there, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll go and quick update. We got a Drake London receiving touchdown in London. So Atlanta on the board at least there. So that it's not going to be a complete disaster or blowout, seemingly, at least not right now. So for the question, I would say, and I love how, Joe has his own way of pronouncing stuff. He'll say Tannenhill all day long, even though there isn't an N in front of the hill part. So, but I'll go Tannehill. Obviously, Ritter's already playing. Zach Ertz has been absolutely dreadful. If this is American Idol, Simon Cowell will be kicking that guy out at this point. So Tannenhill, but I don't feel good about it.
Same here. Yeah, I'm really sad in the situation because if it is like the guillotine leagues, like I said, the latter one that I discussed, where you get eliminated and your team gets dropped to waivers, then this is a tough spot to be in with Tannehill coming at you. Zach Ertz has had at least a good fair target share in there as far as it goes. And I don't know. I feel like maybe if Marquise Brown does sit today, which it doesn't look like he's going to, I'd maybe lean Zach Ertz here. But the fact that that Marquise Brown will likely be playing, I think I'm going to lean Tannehill here. But it's very, very close. And guys, that actually catches up our questions right there. It's always pretty weird when you got the London games going on. A lot of people are sitting back watching football. But make sure if you guys have any questions on here or anything like that, just hit us up on Twitter. We're all kind of doing the same thing you are doing, eating wings, drinking beer, watching football. If you're anything like me, you're also waiting to have a wee one. So shout out to my lady. If she's still out there listening, because she's been solid as a rock. She's been such a trooper, and man, this one has been different. And we can't wait to do it again. Said no one ever.
So I got a quick scenario, because I had a question come through on a DM here for you fellas. So two out of the three, you got Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, or Garrett Wilson. 2 out of 3. What do you guys think about that one?
I'm sitting Garrett Wilson, and it's not even really that hard for me. Zach Wilson has just been miserable. And I don't think that the Simeon is going to come in there and do any kind of justice there either. So I'm going to go with I'm sitting Garrett Wilson. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I think eventually he's going to eventually have a big game, because he's very good, even with a shit quarterback. But I think this week, given the matchup with Flowers and the fact that he's the number one there, I think I would also sit Wilson, even though he's a great talent. But I mean, yeah. I think I worry with him this week. Like, this could be the week, because it could be like 37-10 going into the fourth quarter. It could be the week where he catches some trash in the fourth quarter, but you don't want to hang your hat on that either. So yeah, I think you got to sit Wilson until there's somebody.
And then one more question. This is on my personal team. I think I know Mike's answer, but I'm deciding between Josh Kelly or Jerome Ford at a flex spot. What do you think, Mike?
Actually, if you're thinking I was going to be leaning Kelly right here, you're wrong. I'm actually way higher on Ford than I am Kelly. I do like the opportunity that Kelly has today. Don't get me wrong, man. I mean, I really think that he's going to do great. But man, Ford seems to have stepped in that Chubb role and has been just doing fantastic. I really don't have a whole lot of worry about Kareem Hunt's usage on that team as far as it goes. So I think he's going to be featured. I think that this is going to be a game where they're going to have to run the ball a lot because we're going with Dorian Thomas Peoples, I believe is the guy's name, or something like that, man. He's got a really weird name. But yeah, so question marks at quarterback. I'm definitely loving Ford today. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, Indianapolis had no quarterback last week, and Zach Moss ran for over 100 yards against Baltimore, and they won that game in Baltimore. So I just don't that Baltimore defense, and they're pretty banged up too still. So I like Ford to get in the end zone this week for sure.
Cool. Appreciate it, boys.
That's awesome. And for the other person watching me, hi Lily. I can hear you, Pumpkin. That's awesome. I'm glad you're watching Daddy. Other than that, guys, do we have anything else to add, to subtract, or take away from this show today?
I think we're ready to rock again, man. Week 4, it's going to get interesting now as we head into bye weeks next week, and a lot more injury stuff. There's just a lot to consider. So this should be an interesting week as we head in. And then also, Mike, we obviously love you on the show here, brother, and you got a little one on the way, man. We wish you definitely the best of luck on that one, because that's just outstanding, brother. So
very exciting stuff, man. And like I said, by this time next week, we will be +1 here at the old Darling House. So I appreciate that, man, and we appreciate you guys. And we will see you at the same bat time, same bat channel next week. Thank you, everybody, once again, and we will see you